right back at you with an exclusive, man. We have today none other than Lil B's incident report for his homicide, man. And I know we read his paperwork prior to this, man, but this one is just his incident report pertaining to his homicide. So when we get the incident reports for the homicide, you got to understand that these are coming up and they're actually being typed up and printed out as the officers are speaking to the dispatch. And if you go back and listen to some of my scanner audio videos, that's why they're documenting all that information from the scene so they can type up this information to give to us in the Foia. So this is really an exclusive document that we get all of the documents in one. Also, we find out what happened instantly after and during the discovery. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and thumb up this video as it gets my video out to new and potential subscribers, and that is imperative for the growth of this channel. So I appreciate you. But first, we're going to say rest in peace to STL Lil B. Alright, now we're going to get into this document. We have an original case incident report. The incident is listed as an aggravated handgun. Alright, and the occurrence location was a 6224 Rhodes Avenue, and this was in a residential yard, front/back. Alright, and I'll say just to, we'll finish. So we have a victim listed as a government, name City of Chicago, and a contact person, a Ruben Sanchez. Family member notified for the victim, which I believe would be Little B. We have a witness to this crime also, and man, they are completely redacted here. And these are old documents too, if you can notice by like the photocopying on this. And this was it's official. Alright, so we got another document here, and this is suspect number 1. We have a Rayson Shaw. They list the victim as a suspect. It's really interesting in this one. And he's listed as a male, black, 5 feet 9, 160 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, dreadlock hairstyle, medium brown complexion, age 19, suspected of using the weapon. And the injury info, was the extent was fatal. Gang information section lists he's an affiliated member of the Gangster Disciples. We have a narrative. This is an area, Central Detective Division Progress of Violent Scene Supplementary Report. This report should be read in conjunction with all other reports generated under this record division number. And it's interesting they outline this document like this because we usually get the supplementary reports with such information. But we have the victim here, a police officer Sanchez, and we have the offender as deceased, man. And there seems to be Lil B here, man. He has a total of 19 arrests, 6 felonies, and 8 misdemeanors. Gang affiliation, Gangster Disciples, right? Alright, taken 2, DOA at the scene. Weapon, offender's weapon recovered at the scene, Glock Model 22, semi-automatic, black in color, 4?inch barrel, 40 caliber. Had an extended magazine, 30 round capacity with the laser attached, 1 live round in the chamber and 10 live rounds in the magazine. Right, involved police officer Sanchez's weapon. I guess because he discharged this weapon, Glock Model 21, semi-automatic, black in color, 4-inch barrel, 45, 3 live Winchester 45 caliber rounds in mag, 1 live Winchester 45 caliber round in chamber. Right, we have the location. Date and time was a Saturday. It was clear, cold, 35 degrees, and daytime. And Saturday morning is, wow. The involved officers, BT 306E, PO Perret, Police Officer Perez, and Police Officer Sanchez on routine patrol, observed the deceased offender make a hand-to-hand transaction which appeared to be narcotics related with an unknown subject. The involved officers approached the offender, at which time the offender fled on foot. After a brief foot chase, the offender produced a handgun and pointed same at police officer Sanchez, at which time police officer Sanchez engaged the offender with his weapon and fired several shots in the direction of the offender, striking him several times about the body. The offender expired from his wounds on the scene. / defeat, arrest, and that's the end of that. Evidence they have listed is some video recovered from the scene. Alright. And put a pin here. Look at all this evidence we have. Wow, man. Now, just reading that, and I don't really do conjecture in a lot of the videos, but this one seems interesting with they observed him doing a hand-to-hand transaction. And if you're not seeing this, we have a witness here, police officer Perez, a Juan J, employed at the Chicago Police Department. We have statements from an oral police officer Sanchez. All right, reporting detectives were assigned this case by Sergeant Nowakowski of this command. Reporting was assigned to investigate a police shooting involving police officer Sanchez. Reporting learned the offender, Rayson Shaw, had been shot by police officer Sanchez and expired from his injuries on scene. Reporting relocated to the scene in furtherance of this investigation. Upon arrival at the scene, reporting observed multiple police units' presence from various surrounding districts, 002, 007, and 008. Following the incident, a crowd gathered with several acts of violence against the police, where additional police had to be summoned for crowd control and enforcement. The crime scene was cordoned off with yellow and red crime scene tape, which was being protected by uniformed 003rd District personnel. The area of this incident consists of multiple single-family residences and multiple apartment buildings which line both sides of the street. Cross streets include 63rd Street to the south and Rhodes Avenue. Vehicle traffic travels both east and west on 63rd Street, and vehicle travels one way south on Rhodes. While at the scene, reporting was directed by 003rd District personnel up to the rear yard of 6224 South Rhodes. Reporting observed a white sheet covering the remains of the offender, Rayson Shaw. Upon viewing the body, reporting observed Shaw lying face up on the ground with his head facing to the west and feet facing to the east. Shaw was wearing a red jacket, blue hoodie with black shirt and multicolored t-shirt, blue jeans, beige belt, blue plaid underwear, black gym shoes, and a black winter stocking cap lay next to his body. Shaw's upper clothing was open and he was bare-chested. As reporting learned, CFD paramedics attempted to administer medical attention. Reporting then spoke with the involved officer Sanchez at the scene, who related the following in essence and not verbatim. Sanchez simultaneously spoke and directed reporting through the incident. Police officer Sanchez. Sanchez related he and his partner, police officer Perez, were on routine parole in the area of 62nd and Everhart. Sanchez stated they were working in civilian dress and driving an unmarked police car vehicle. Sanchez stated he was driving and traveled southbound on Everhart from 62nd Street and observed the offender, Rayson Shaw, make a hand-to-hand transaction with an unknown subject. Sanchez stated he and Perez continued southbound down Everhart towards Shaw. Sanchez stated he stopped approximately 6215 South Everhart and he and Perez exited their vehicle. They attempted to approach the offender Shaw on foot, which time Shaw ran southbound down Everhart, then into a residence located at 6237 South Everhart. Sanchez and Perez gave chase, but Shaw had already locked the door behind him. Sanchez stated his partner observed Shaw exit the rear at 6237 South Everhart and run it eastbound towards Rhodes. Sanchez and Perez re-entered their vehicle and drove south to the cross alley and then east towards Rhodes. Sanchez stated as they approached Rhodes, they observed Shaw walking toward them southbound. Sanchez stated Shaw looked in their direction and began to run back north on Rhodes. Sanchez exited his vehicle and on a foot chase ensued. Radio transmission was broadcast with a description of Shaw and direction of flight. Sanchez stated Shaw ran westbound through an empty lot as Sanchez continued behind him. Sanchez stated that Shaw was holding his right side, leading Sanchez to believe that Shaw was armed with a handgun. Sanchez stated Shaw then jumped the rear fence of the residence at 6224 South Rose. Sanchez stated he went to the rear fence that Shaw jumped and didn't see Shaw in the yard. Sanchez stated that, Sanchez stated he then ran back to the front of the residence and saw Shaw in the front gangway of the residence of 6224 Rhodes. Sanchez stated Shaw had a black handgun in his hand. Sanchez announced his office and ordered Shaw to drop the weapon to the ground. Shaw disregarded Sanchez's verbal commands and turned around and jumped over a wrought iron gate leading to the gangway of 6224 South Rhodes. Once over the gate, Shaw turned and pointed his handgun at Sanchez. Sanchez, fearing for his life, fired his weapon multiple times at Shaw. Shaw continued running westbound through the gangway as Sanchez yelled at Shaw to get down. Shaw then fell to the ground near the backyard. Sanchez immediately notified OEMC that he had discharged his weapon and requested an ambulance. Sanchez stated he went to where Shaw was lying in efforts to render aid to Shaw. Once the scene was secured, Sanchez observed a black handgun on the ground in the gangway immediately to the west of the wrought iron gate that Sanchez saw Shaw jump over. Reporting spoke with police officer Perez on scene. Perez related the following in essence and not verbatim. Perez also simultaneously directed reporting through the incident. Perez stated he observed the same hand-to-hand transaction between Shaw and an unknown male black. Perez added that during the foot chase where Sanchez attempted to apprehend Shaw, he jumped in the driver's seat of the vehicle and drove north through the west alley of Rhodes. Perez stated he exited the vehicle in the alley at approximately 6220 South Rhodes. As Perez exited the vehicle, he heard several gunshots. Perez stated he ran to where he thought the shots were fired and saw his partner Sanchez coming to the rear yard of 6224 South Rhodes. Perez stated he then observed Shaw lying face down in the yard of 6224 South Rhodes. The mobile crime lab was summoned to the crime scene and F.I. Sawed was assigned. He was given the details of this investigation by reporting to the area of where evidence existed. Sawed processed the crime scene, including videotaping and photographing the area as well as collecting all items of evidentiary value. Deputy Chief of Patrol Andrews arrived on scene and was appointed of the facts of this investigation by reporting. Andrews walked through the incident with police officer Sanchez. Andrews then walked and directed IPRA through the same. This investigation continues. Wow. I mean, man, if reading that, and we have another incident report. This is just notifications for the officers. But as I mentioned before, if we go back and look at the events here, man, and see, was it probable cause enough to say that they saw that gun and shot and killed him? Did he up the gun at him? Did he ever have the gun? They say he was clutching his waist and running. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. But before you go to, I got a little clip that I found. Thanks to all my Reddit users who send me things. We have conversations all throughout the day, and I appreciate y'all. But check this out. Peace. And with that, rest in peace, Lil B, man.